Hello, I am Shavonnah, Managing Director of SNR Creative, and here with me today is Trevor, one of the co-owners of Displayco. So as you know, at SNR Creative, we love all things marketing, especially experiential / live event marketing. And that's why we have our friend with us here today from Displayco to talk with us a little bit about what's been happening in your world. Displayco has been our partner, for several years now. Whenever we're building booths and these experiences, we always go to Displayco because they do a fantastic job. I know what you do, but in maybe 15 seconds or so, what do you all do at Displayco? You and your team, both.
Me, I'm co-owner of Displayco. We have offices in Edmonton, Calgary, and Houston, of course. And we basically help our customers primarily in events and trade show space. But we also do environments, trade, like your office with signage and whatnot, that anything to do with live experience.
I know you've done some pretty large, because we've worked on some of them, scale events, but what's the I guess one of your favorite, or a couple of your favorite experiences that you've been able to create from an live event standpoint, and just say the last 36 months or so?
I think really, it's not necessarily the event, it's the location. I think the one thing that I've been blessed with, and a lot of our employees have been blessed with, is the opportunity to do, shows all over the world.
Yeah.
In the last, year, I've been to China, I've been to South America, I've been to all over the US and Canada. And I think it's just that experience of seeing how things are done, differently around the world, and but everybody has the same goals and aspirations, to do it. It's just handled and done differently in different parts of the world.
What's interesting is, as you mentioned, you go all around the world producing these events, and the thing that they have in common is bringing people together, right?
Right.
That's the thing. And the energy that you feel when you get a group of people together with a similar interest. So whether that's seafood or electronics or power distribution, etc. So here in our new environment, where getting together, the gathering of people is, in some cases, not being done at all, or definitely being done differently, what are some of the things that you're seeing, that you've just seen out in the market by way of people still trying to create that experience, even without being able to get together?
The changes, we've seen a lot of associations, a lot of trade shows try and move a live event into a virtual event.
So how's that going?
Well, like one of my friends said to me, if you want to come over for a virtual barbecue this weekend, you can. I mean,
I'll grill right here.
I'll grill right here in front of the camera, and
you just
look at it. I think there's, with a virtual or a live event, there's all the senses are engaged. It's not just it's not your sight and your sound. So it's pretty hard to replicate that in a virtual world.
So I agree. I think that there is something different about an in-person live, and not even just an event, just period, the bringing of people together. So what are ways that maybe you've been thinking about at Displayco and even others in the industry that we can do that in a safe way? So what are the ways that you can have an event, but using the proper, obviously PPE and distancing, etc., so you can still bring people together? Have you all started to explore some new options and way to program events?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Exhibit Designer and Producers Associations come out with a whole booklet on how to do safe events and how to relaunch events with protocols, everything from at a trade show making two-way traffic, so we don't have people just kind of intertwining. You have traffic going one way, traffic going another way. You have multiple entry points. They're getting rid of live registration, and you register on your phone or your tablet prior to going to the phone, so less touch points, sanitization, wearing masks. Some of the major convention centers in North America have put in all new filtration systems from their HEPA filtration system, so there's air's being recycled a lot faster. I mean, they're putting all kinds of because our industry is huge to get, and it's essential to get it back, not just for us, but for a lot of economies that are dependent on our industry, from hotels to airlines to people who go into the show and depending on the sales that come out of those shows.
Right. Well, companies, because one of the things, and we're talking a lot about the perspective from the producer, your side, or us at SNR Creative, we're partnered together to produce a booth or an experience. but also the actual company that you're producing it for. A lot of times companies use trade shows as the time or live events where they engage with their clients and prospective clients, like maybe the one time or 2 times per year where they get to see people face to face and actually engage. So, I mean, it really does have a trickle down effect when events, live events in particular, are taking off.
We're going to see come back first in the next few months. In the first quarter of 2021, I think we'll see the domestic shows come back first that aren't necessarily 100% reliant on people having to travel.
Right.
Or to travel great distances or over international
or you can
borders.
drive in your car.
Or I can go from here to Orlando without a lot of restrictions, local shows. And then as those things open up, I kind of see the trade show industry right now as kind of, I don't know if you watch the wildlife shows, but the penguins on a cliff and they all kind of back up and nobody's going over the edge, and they're all sitting there looking to see the first one falls off, and if they make it to the water and live, then they all kind of eventually start to fall off. So I think the associations and the trade show organizers are kind of like the penguins on a cliff right now. They're waiting for those first few events to go off and make sure that they survive and they don't crash to the rocks on the bottom. And once those, we'll see that happen. But it is really, as I said, it is all dependent on mobility of people and people's ability to travel. So what I do see happening in the next little while in our industry is hybrid events.
So explain to us what a hybrid event is.
Well, a hybrid event from our standpoint is still a live event, but we couple with technology like Zoom and cameras and with people that can't make it to the show necessarily, whether those be the experts from the company that they want to still have available at the booth to consult with customers.
To do a presentation. So you're in the booth in the presentation area, and I'm on a screen giving the presentation to the people who are there live.
Correct.
For example.
Right. So you'd have a dual screen set up, and I'll be back at my workshop in Dusseldorf, Germany, and I'm doing a presentation live to you at a live event on the trade show floor here in North America. It's going to save on travel costs. It's going to save on, some companies are not allowing their certain level of people not to travel from health and safety standpoint.
So my final question is, what are you excited about? Because obviously, anytime there's a big change, like a pandemic, right? Or anything that disrupts an industry, there are things we can't do, and there's a period of, okay, this is unfortunate, a bit of calibration has to happen. But then I think oftentimes, innovation comes out of that. So is it the hybrid events? I mean, what's something that you say, we've never even considered this because we didn't have to, and now this is actually kind of neat, and this is something that we will do going forward, even once everyone is back to quote unquote normal live events. Anything exciting about what's to come?
Well, I think the hybrid stuff is really going to be the innovation that comes from the pandemic. Because we're forced to, but I think that it's going to be something that, just like Zoom calls, prior to the pandemic, I was maybe doing 1 or 2 a month or every other, couple times a week at max. Now I'm doing them daily.
Right.
It's just become
part of.
You know
how to turn your camera on? It's like the worst. I know you're an event person, but you're in Zoom call. You would not know how to turn your camera. Do you know how to turn your camera on?
I don't know how to look good in front of the camera. I can turn it on. I'm waiting for the skinny filter.